Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
A Time for True show is sponsored by the Office of Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, a periodontal, dental implant and laser specialist in New York City, for over 40 years. Dr. Fialkoff was honored by the International College of Dentists and Pierre Fauchard, and received the Presidential Lifetime Humanitarian Honor from the White House. Call us at 718-229-3838.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Welcome to A Time for Truth show. I'm your host, Dr. Bernard Fialkoff, and I want to welcome you back with us again today. Many of you have been asking, how do you avail yourself of the previous episodes? It's very simple. You go on YouTube, click on A Time for Truth show, and then once you're on the link, click on subscribe and you'll be availed of all the previous episodes. We'll be more than happy to have you as one of our permanent members. So tonight, we're going to talk about a very valuable resource. A resource that I don't think in the world we really look at. You know, we look at stocks, we look at gold, we look at oil deposits, we even look at water. And although they may be important, and obviously are, there's another resource that we too often overlook and don't really pay attention to. We take for granted. Today we're very lucky to have someone with us who cares for that resource, all the way from Venezuela. And engineer Buddha, if you will, let's put his pictures up on the screen, and I'll introduce to our viewers Mr. Douglas Madera Buscarini of Caracas, Venezuela, a former professional soccer player with international experience in Argentina, Brazil, USA, Italy, and his home country of Venezuela. Mr. Buscarini is a CONMEBOL, South American Soccer Confederation, licensed coach. There you see him with his multitude of young pupils, young budding soccer stars. He's a licensed coach with studies in business economy, marketing, finances, nutrition, physiotherapy. There you see him being interviewed on his program. And in September of 2021, he founded DMV 14, named really after himself and the number that he played with, 14. He founded DMV 14 Soccer Academy in Florida, an exceptional, ethical, uptone, and customized soccer academy that assists young players and focuses them on quality, competence, and integrity on and off the field. And Buddha, if you will, let's bring him up live on the screen and bid a warm welcome to Douglas Madera Buscarini to A Time for Truth show.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction and for the invitation to your show. I feel very honored about being here.
You know what? I'm very happy to have you here because you take care of something that unfortunately is ignored. Our youth, the mentality of our youth, the discipline of our youth, the integrity of our youth, and I'm getting to be an older guy, even though a lot of people say I don't look like it, but I'm going to celebrate 70 in June. And, I realize I'm going to be dependent on those young guys. So this is totally selfish having you on the show because I'm hoping that a lot of people start taking care of that young generation because one day we all have to turn over the reins to someone else. And what you're doing is so important. So I wanted to ask you first a little bit about you so our viewers can learn about you. What were your dreams as a young man?
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, I had the same dream of those kids that I try to support today, right? I wanted to be a professional soccer player. I wanted to be an athlete, and that's what I pursue all my life. So now my dream is help the kids and the youth players to make their dreams real, right? Make their dreams true. So that's pretty much what I do. I love to help, especially the kids. It's like I feel very connected with the kids because I remember when I was that age and I had the same dream, and I know how hard is reaching those dreams when you don't have the right guidance, the right knowledge, the right data to operate and keep yourself in track so you can successfully achieve what you are going to pursue, right? So that's pretty much my dream. My dream is help them to make their dreams true.
Well, that's a beautiful, purpose, philosophy. And so first, I still want to stick with you still, because I know there's a lot that you're going to say about how you do things, but I think it's important to know the man behind the whole thing is how did soccer and everything that you went through to get to professional soccer, how did that impact you personally in your life?
Oh man, that was huge. Like I always say that soccer is not just an sport. It's not just a career. It's a kind of philosophy. It's a way to live. It's a way to see, understand, and live the life. It's a beautiful sport. I I think is the probably the hardest sport to play because it's the only one in which you have to use only your feet, and you have to work in a team of 11 people. It's not just like two or five. It's a bunch of people that you have to communicate in a super high speed level, having like a really high accuracy in every single little movement that you do. So you need to become like a very competent and being very disciplined to get that level of competence, right? So I believe like soccer makes me is like who I am today. It's like a lot thanks to soccer, the discipline, the the persistence, following and pursuing the dream, the career, the goals, and all the stuff, and you learn how to help others by being like a good team member. Like you learn, like it's not just about you, it's about the whole team and how you put all your talent, all your skills, all your abilities, all your intelligence at the service of the team. And that's, for me, is one of the most beautiful lessons that I learned from soccer. Because when you are young, you are very like, you know, kind of on yourself, like you think about yourself and what you want. And I believe we all believe at some point when we are pretty young that we are the best, no matter what. We are the best, right? But soccer teaches you that doesn't matter if you are the best or not. What really matters is how much you can help your team. And that's the most beautiful lesson that I learned from soccer. And that's why I do what I do. And that's what I operate in the way that I operate and and what moves me every day is that feeling that no matter how good I am, if I don't put all that to the service of my team, of my group, it doesn't matter. It's not worth.
It's very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. And I was looking at some posts that people made comparing who got the MVP in, this is quarterbacks in professional football, and someone else who had better statistics, but they didn't get the MVP, and they were going back and forth on these commentaries. But it was very interesting to look at it because in the final result, the one who actually, as you said, got his team to excel and got the team to win was the one that they actually validated, not just the one who had a lot of statistics and personal win and ego, and even though they were great athletes. And it really goes to what you're saying. And with our world situation right now, you know, that's why I thought your show is so important. What do you think about, here you are coaching all this youth, and I just want to ask you, with what happened where they killed all those youth over, you know, in Israel, Lebanon, what do you think about this? What's your view on what's going on?
Oh man, that's really hard to me. You know, like I don't, like, I always tell my players, like, when you turn on the TV or the internet, because it's everywhere right now, you know, like in the social media everywhere, and you see those pictures, those images about what is happening there, I just feel a huge pain inside of me, you know, like I feel I suffer like that people is suffering there, and he's like thousands of miles away from me, but I feel the pain because I have the strong connection with the kids, you know, I have that strong connection with their dreams, with their, you know, like the expectation, all those stuff. So I have all those kids that I have helped here, and I see those kids there, and I feel like it's no difference between them, you know, like it's just little kids that have dreams and they want to live, and then they find themselves in the middle of those terrible situations, and I just feel like I feel frustrated. I have to say it. I feel when I see those stuff, I feel that I'm not doing enough. That's the truth. And I feel I need to do way more of what I have been doing. And I would like, you know, like the job that I do here expand around the world and bring some sanity and happiness to many, many, many kids around the world.
Yeah, you know what? You actually are getting to a question I wanted to ask you, because you started your program, DMB 14. And so what are the goals that you envision when you make this program? What goals do you have for your soccer program in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I want to reach as many kids around the world, like as many possible with the soccer clinics. And from those soccer clinics, I do like selection of the most talented players, right? And those most talented players, I train them to bring them to the top level. So in that training that we offer, it's not just about technical skills or physical conditioning, not even only about tactical understanding, but we look further. We really put a bunch of attention in the mental strength, in the mindset of the player. And regarding that, it's very important for us their behavior on and off the field, because we believe a true athlete is a good example for everybody around them. You know, if you have like a really good soccer player, but he's not being a good example, it's not a true athlete from our viewpoint. You know, like the entire concept of a true athlete imply that you have to set a good example to everybody around you, because those skills with which you born, it have a responsibility, and the responsibility is to set the good example for millions of kids that are watching you in TV. So my goal is that, like, take these super skillful players and train them to become elite players that are and set a good example on and off the field all the time, in every single area of their life, like individually, like human beings, like parents, like husbands, like team members, um, like contributing to the humankind, like taking the full potential of what they could do. You have players that are more famous than the president or the papa. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And those guys could be doing like a huge positive impact in the world right now. And they're not doing it. And I feel like, man, that's a waste of power, like a huge waste of power. You could be doing way more of what you are doing. So that's what we want to create with this new generation of true athletes that are and set a good example on and off the field. And of course, they excel in the field.
Absolutely. You know what you're saying is so true. And while we're speaking, I want the engineer to get the video ready for us, engineer, that we have, and I'll call for it. But we just recently came back from a trip in Honduras where we worked with the National Honduran Police. We had basketball games in 2 major cities. We had the drug education program. We had the dentist of the country involved in it. And, you're so right, because, it's the way I feel is what you feel, is that, I should take my gains in my life and where I've gotten to and the respect that people give you when you've done that and say, okay, you know what? Let's do something about this. We stand for this. And which is what, like you said, what you're doing with sports, and why I look forward with Drug Free World to working with you. I'm curious, what is your approach to each kid that you get in your academy? How do you deal with them? How do you approach them?
I mean, the first thing we do is an assessment, to see what's the level of the player, and from there we talk with the player, we talk with the parents, we check what their goals are, and we make a plan to help them to reach those goals. Like, not everybody wants to be an elite soccer player, and not everybody have the skills to become an elite soccer player. So we focus in what they really want to achieve, and from there we work really hard with them to make it happen. Like, okay, we get some players that are in a recreational program, but they want to become like a competitive player. They want to do the next step to get in a competitive team, which is not hard. So we get them and we start to work. We create a plan of work, and then we start to train them until they are ready, and they do the tryouts and they make the team, and then they are super happy. And then from there, if they want to keep going up, then we keep working with them and we push them to the next level. That's pretty much what we do. Then when we find those few players that are like highly skillful, we invest on them, time, energy, money, etc., to make them to become pro. And then from that part, like, we accompany them during their entire careers. So we get to become like a representation agency for the players. Like, that's like another side of the business, of the activity. And that's pretty much what we do. Like, we train the kids, we help them to make their goals true. And when we find like the few like super skillful, we invest in them and we accompany them during their entire careers.
Well, it sounds like a really enjoyable job to me.
Now, yeah, that's absolutely. I love my job like nothing else in the world. Like, I enjoy it so much that I don't feel I'm working. I'm having so much fun. I love playing soccer. So when I train with them, I kicking the ball, I'm running with them and all the stuff. So I'm doing what I love. It's not like a job for me.
That's beautiful. So you know what? Let's see if we have that video ready. You have that video ready, engineer? Very nice. Well, you told me that you implement in your program a booklet that has common sense guide, and you were telling me a little bit about it. So tell us about the name of the program and what is this program that you utilize?
Yeah, that's the soccer clinics. It's a soccer with values. We call it soccer with values. We travel around the country, making some partnership with local clubs, local academies, and all the stuff. And we buy the players in the city, okay? And we get hundreds of players for those soccer clinics. And then I teach them like the fundamental pillars of the soccer career, which is the physical conditioning, the technical skills, the tactical understanding, and the mental strength, right? So we work in each area a little bit, like it's in an introduction service, and then at the end for the mental strength, we deliver this the Way to Happiness seminar. It's based in the Way to Happiness booklet. It's a book of moral values based in the common sense. It's not religious. It's not political. It's beautiful, like really beautiful. I love that book. It's my favorite book in the world. And because you already train the kids in the physical conditioning, the technical skills, in the tactical understanding, they already see you as an authority. They see you like you show them you are competent. You show them you know what you are talking about. You show them that you really can help them to make their goals true. So by the end, when you give them this booklet and you go through the booklet with them, they are like very hunger to get all that knowledge because they already know you are giving them so much value that they have a lot of interest and attention on getting all that. And that's beautiful. It has been like a super successful action for me. And I still keep receiving messages from parents like, hey, I'm so grateful because my kid start to clean his room just by going to your soccer clinic. I don't know what happened. I don't know what you did, but the kid is just changing. He's helping at home. He's being way more respectful and all the stuff. So that's very powerful from my viewpoint, and that's what I love to do. Those soccer clinics, and then from those soccer clinics, because since it gets so many kids, we can see like the guy who stand up, like the guy who is like is a higher level of the rest, is over the average. Okay, so with those players, we do a way more like extensive work. We bring them to Caracas and we train them in another courses. They do the Way to Happiness course. They do a study tech course. They do communication course. So we give them a bunch of tools so they can actually be successful in not only in the soccer career, but in life in general. And they can be that good example that we want to create for the humankind.
You know what? It's very interesting because of your approach. You're getting them physically elite and you're getting them mentally and spiritually elite. So you're actually completing the entire package. Whereas, sometimes you and I have seen this, and it's obvious. There's some tremendous athletes and they just go off the rails and they end up in prison, or instead of being a great example, they go the wrong way. So I really congratulate you, Doug, on what you're doing. And, we're getting to the end of the show, but I wanted to ask you, what final comment would you like to leave those viewers out there watching the show on where you think we should go in 2023 and beyond?
Well, I think that observing what is happening around the world, we all need to wake up. We all need to wake up and start to doing way more of what we have been doing. We need to start to help more and find ways to help. And there are plenty of powerful, beautiful organizations that are working really hard to make this world better. So just get educated on how you can help, how you can contribute, and do your part. That will be my final message. And I'm trying to do way more of what I have been doing. And I know you are doing big efforts to keep doing way more of what you have been doing. So the invitation is to that. Like everybody watching us, just do way more because it's needed, because it's actually needed.
You know, you're so right. We have so much that we were given in this life and in this world. And we really need to start realizing that we have to work on the people who made it possible and the people who collaborate, mankind. And I totally agree with you. You know what? Muchas gracias. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, man. I'm so happy to be here. And I want to tell to your viewers that I really admire you. I'm a super fan of you. So I feel very proud of being your, guest. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Well, you know what? I look forward to working with you. We got something that we may be doing November 12th in Dominican Republic and when you get back to Florida. And for those of you watching, this is not some kind of isolated activity. If you would like to join Douglas and I, sports, drug education, and help the youth of the country, you can actually reach Doug. Where do they reach you, Doug? What email?
DouglasMBM14 @gmail.com.
So Douglas DMB14 at gmail.com.
14. Yes, actually.
Very
That's
good.
right.
And if you want to reach me, a Time for Truth show at gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. Look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see you in the next episode of A Time for Truth show. Good night.
This show was sponsored by A Time for Truth Foundation Incorporated as a community service.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet